Magandang araw mga kaproyekto. Welcome to Proyekto Pilipino. At sabi nga natin, this weekend, ang ating tatalakayin ay ang nakaraang SONA, ang pangatlong SONA no, ng ating Pangulo, si Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. No? So, siguro pag-usapan natin, ano ba yung mga pick up natin, ano ba yung ating mga masasabi na mahalagang siguro dapat bigyan pansin dun sa SONA. No? Siguro mag-umpisa na ako. No? So, yun kanyang zona nagbukas na tinumbok niya kaagad yung concern ng tao tungkol sa presyo ng bigas yung mga siyempre mga ibang commodities pero yung presyo ng bigas at parang yung yun lang na nabasa ko so doon siya nagsimula at malinaw sinabi niya hindi pa tayo nakakarating doon pero kung titingnan mo rin yung maraming bahagi ng zona niya you could see that he was trying to show that there were things being done to address that concern of yung high price of rice so parang ganun yung and then parang nangyari ito is really an enumeration of the achievements of the government the past year or three or two sorry and then of course yung pinaka-highlight was towards the end yung Pogo at yung West Philippine Sea parang ganun lang yung background so maybe you could uh, parang give your own observation sa Claudio and Lelo. Ay, magandang araw pa sa ating mga kaproyekto. Na-excite tayo no pumasok tayo kaagad sa. So, okay.
I agree, Pads. Ito namang mga SONA, they follow particular formats, di ba, Pads? Parang the president highlights certain indicators that are favorable to them. Certain things like, for example, yung decrease ng inflation rate or yung continued economic growth or yung, for example, maraming na-digitize. Very important sa kanya yung digital interactions with the government, digital payments, for instance. And then, apart from yung broad overview na yon that mostly bores people, no? Kasi achievement after achievement,
Yeah.
maglalatag yung presidente ng mga sound bites na pwedeng pag-usapan sa media kinabukasan. Tama nga kayo, Fads, yung naging sound bites doon ay yung dalawa. Ay unang-una yung pagban ng Pogo, pangalawa yung kanyang very sharp comments on the West Philippine Sea, and of course yung opener niya about rice wherein he admitted na kahit bumaba yung inflation, ang nararamdaman talaga ng mga tao ay yung food inflation. At totoo ito, no? Lagi kong ina-highlight sa show na to. Number one concern ng mga Pilipino daw is inflation. Sinasabi ko daw kasi hindi ako naniniwala na inflation as a whole ang concern. Ang concern talaga ng tao is food inflation,
Correct.
particularly
Correct.
rice inflation.
Actually, nakalimutan ko na SONA pala yun nung Lunes. So pagising ko sa umaga, nag-aalmusal kami ni Mrs. habang nagkakape. Naka-on yung TV, yung sa balita sa umaga. Tapos nakabarong yung mga sa TV. Inisip ko, bakit? Independence Day ba ngayon? Funny because it totally slipped my mind na it was SONA. And this is something na we were talking about off air kanina na unless when I was in government, yes, we were very aware of the SONA kasi kailangan ko maghanda lalo na sa DFA yung mga issues na kailangang i-discuss ng presidente, binibigay namin sa Malacanang, and later on when I was writing, I was very aware of the SONA because I wanted to know what are the issues being discussed. And it's very interesting kasi Leloy, binabalikan ko yung State of the Nation address kung ano yung role nito sa kasaysayan natin, no? Kasi doon pa lang sa pangalan, State of the Nation. Naalala ko yung when we first started doing SONA, State of the Nation address, it was the post-war period na alalahin natin na wala pang social media. Media actually was still in a transitory area. Radio yung ano noon, saka dyaryo. So pagka sinabi mong State of the Nation, talagang magre-report ang presidente kung ano yung nangyayari sa bayan natin. And it was such a very important affair because it was one of yung talagang doon makikita ko ano yung nangyayari ngayon at pangalawa, saan tayo pupunta? Saan tayo dadalhin ng pulisiya ng gobyerno? And ngayon, now you bring it now fast forward to what's happening in SONA. It's interesting because like Father Tito said, it's a recap and a report of yung achievements nung nung nangyayari sa bansa. At the same time, ito yung pinag-usapan din natin dati to. Makikita mo yung mga unofficial interactions between our politicians. Kung ano yung and to some people ito yung mas interesting eh. Sino yung kinamayan ng presidente, sino yung katabi niya, sino yung pumalakpak. So it's an unofficial way of judging the political atmosphere of the times. But ang ano ko is
lalo na nung kay Duterte.
yes,
Kasi
yes.
si Duterte mahilig siya mag-signal nung mga panahon na yon kung sino yung mga nilalapitan niya. Itong presidente na to, mas mahirap basahin kasi diplomatic siya towards everyone eh.
Correct, correct. Oo. Pero
But
alam mo, surprisingly, because of my work with Caritas, there's some people in our network who send messages na they're very happy about the SONA. Okay? Because ang kanilang isa na wow, tinutumbok niya yung mga programs natin. So parang may ganun ding feedback, ano? Of course, when you hear some of the other politicians, yung for example si Congressman Lagman, I think the following day meron siyang na-interview siya. Sabi niya maganda yung SONA pero short on details, no? Yun yung kanyang comment, ano. So may mga ganun reaction eh. May mga ganun reaction din na pero yun nga, tama, maganda rin yung punto ni Carlo. How widespread is the following of the SONA in the first place, no? Talaga bang does it matter to people, no? And then
but
ano yung mga reactions, ano?
more than that, Fads, ang tanongin natin is it a true representation of what's happening in the country right now? Yung kasi maganda yung binanggit mo yung tatlong puntos na gusto kong himayin natin yung tatlo, yung presyo ng bigas, issue ng West Philippine Sea, saka yung Pogo. So una, of course, ito the president was voted on largely on yung promise niya na ibababa niya yung presyo ng bigas. So ano yung exactly yung ano yung sense niyo of what the ano yung report nung presidente about rice prices? What can we do? Is there anything else that can be done or can be said about rice?
Well, one of the things that at least from what yung pagkakaunawa ko, no? Kasi after that, he explained things that they're doing to increase our rice production. And then, in fact, he gave the statistics na I can't remember the exact, parang 16 yung target, 13 yung nasa 13 na tayo. And then he talked about how yung mga irrigation, etc., to increase the rice production. No? So I think that was, in a way, a response kung paano natin down the road mapapababa ang presyo, no? Pero yun lang, hindi beyond that parang wala akong masyadong meron palang fourth point din na ni-raise siya na soundbite din, yung we will continue the drug war minus the blood.
Yes.
So let's turn to that, Fads. Pero I just want to add something about yung rice. Kasi our regular viewers, alam naman nila na most of yung mga eksperto, hindi kami nagsasabi nito. Alam kong controversial ito, pero expert after expert dito sa Proyekto Pilipino, sinasabi nila isa ang dahilan bakit mahal ang pagkain dito sa Pilipinas, yung taripa, di ba? At least 3 tayong episode na yun yung sinasabi. And I would like to think experts na walang ideological stake dito sa issue na to, merong consensus na yun talaga yung problema dapat tubukin. And to be fair to President Marcos, last month, di ba, and sinabi niya to sa SONA, he signed Executive Order 62, cut tariff rates to 15 from 35%. So sa tingin ko malaking bagay yon towards yung pagbaba ng presyo. At baka maramdaman natin yun soon kasi last month lang naman yun, Pads. So, which goes back to yung comment nyo earlier na actually maganda naman, hindi naman mahina itong SONA to. I think this might be one of the stronger SONAs both in terms of yung content and also yung delivery. It was such a confident delivery. And for me, apart from yung konting mention Bagong Pilipinas here and there's very little political sloganeering in this in this SONA. So I appreciated that. And maganda, I also like the way he phrased yung concern niya for rice. I just want to quote na the hard lesson of this year has made it very clear that whatever current data proudly banning our country as among the best performing in Asia means nothing to the Filipino who is confronted by the price of rice at 45 to 65 per kilo. Napaka-importante nun because ito yung lagi natin sinasabi dito sa mga programa natin eh. Big indicators are great, di ba? Pero nararamdaman ba yan? Kaya mo bang pakain yung Pilipino based on big indicators such as GDP growth? Actually, you can. Pero yung trickle down mabagal. Yung everyday concern pa rin ng mga tao ay yung paano yung next meal mo. And that's of course very pronounced in a country like us na mahirap pa rin.
And I think tama, it's good you raised that point, Leloy, kasi number one, a lot of people say this is his best SONA. No? This is his best SONA. And sabi mo nga, even the delivery, everything. May ano rin may emotions, di ba? Parang it was not a detached SONA eh.
Yes, Fads.
Di ba? It wasn't detached. I was surprised na talagang kumo-connect. He was connecting with people. No? Makita mo. Pero yun lang nga, sabi rin ni Carlo kanina, off-air, Leloy, sayang kasi baka konti ang nakapanood. Ano? Aside from media people and ano. No? So ako, ang nakita ko is magandang sundan yung mga sinabi niya.
Yeah.
Magandang i-monitor. And sabi nga natin, take the government to task. No? Itong sinabi ng Pangulo, di ba? Ito yung ano bang nangyayari, di ba? And I think more and more, kasi ako, I guess, malaki yung bias ko na now about working with government because of my work with Caritas, di ba? I really feel we should work with government, no? And as far as my limited interaction is concerned because of our different programs with Caritas, government is cooperating. Government is cooperating. So
yeah.
So for example, I work with DSWD. Okay? I work with DOH. I work with DepEd. And then there's some work that we do na nakikipagtrabaho kami sa PNP. And then there are a lot of local government work, that coordination that we do, no. And so far, I must say, no, I'm happy. I'm happy, no, na merong ganong klaseng partnership na pwedeng mangyari. No? So, and sorry, Lela, you're going to say something.
I do want to address yung big elephant in the middle of the room na for many of us na naniniwala sa demokrasya, mahirap sabihin na we're working with a Marcos government. Totoo naman yun. Ako personally, the way I've thought about this is, actually, I still don't like what the election of Ferdinand Marcos Jr. represents, meaning a certain kind of amnesia, a certain kind of historical erasure. Having said that, iba yung what the president represents to what the president does. And what the president does is, to me, not as bad as what he represents. As a president, he is not remarkable, but he is also not the disaster that many people painted him out to be while he was elected. To me, and this was proven by Musona, si Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is a post-Marcos president. He is comparable to people like Noynoy Aquino, to people like Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, to people like Fidel Ramos. You know, he's more easy to compare to them than he is to his father, for a very simple reason. He's a democratic president, unlike his father. No, and if you are a democratic president, and clearly this democratic president merong element na nakikinig siya sa mga problema ng mga tao, you can work with a democratic president, even if ironically, Fads, he represents an undemocratic past.
Yeah. That's a good point. Very good point, Leloy. Kasi, of course, meron din ako mga nakausap na, the other side of the fence, so to speak, no? Parang, it's almost like they refuse to hear the SONA. They refuse to hear what he has to say, di ba?
Pero mali naman yung sa akin yan, Fads, na just because may personal bias ka, isasara mo na agad yung isip mo. Kasi sabi nila, you have to distinguish between what he represents and what is happening on in actuality. Pero balik ako yung
let me just duktong ko lang kay Leloy and then we'll go to what you want to bring up, Carlo. Remember, meron tayo isang discussion with, I don't know if you were here, Leloy, with Manolo. He was talking to one of, I will not mention the name, he was talking to one of the cabinet members of Pinoy. Okay?
Mhm.
And very important position. And then, of course, nalaktawan niya nung kay Duterte. Tapos, inappoint siya ni President BBM, no? And
Mhm.
kinakwento raw nitong cabinet member na ito, sabi niya, I have met more times with him that I've met with Pinoy, no? Although, Pinoy uses him a lot, and ano siya, very active na siya nung time ni Pinoy, no? So,
Nako,
sinasabi,
Fats, ba, madali ata ma-figure out ng viewers natin. Ang short list ng kung sino ang mga taong pwedeng
Sabagay,
mabanggit
but at
dito.
least hindi tayo
Uh,
makakanood. Pero kinukwento niya na he is very, very happy, no, with this president because nga parang his hindi siya natutulog sa pansitan as some people would paint him, sabi mo nga, 'di ba? And kinukwento nga niya na yung mga decision niya is kita mo, he's an executive.
mm.
Hindi siya legislator, 'di ba? But he's an executive kasi ganun daw yung mga desisyon. Maybe just to add to that yung sinasabi mo, Lelo, yun. Okay, Carlos, sorry, go ahead please.
No, maganda yung just to add to what Leloy said earlier, na he's a democratically elected president. I also like to say that he works the uh within the confines of our democratic institutions.
Yes, I
And
agree.
and that's something that is a breath of fresh air for me, because we have had instances in the past where the government worked outside the bounds of our institutions, huh? And for better or for worse, sa akin, that's what we have. These are our institutions. We have to work around it. And that's where the challenge is, Fads. Sinabi mo nga kanina, yung puntos na nilatag natin, the challenge is now how to operationalize yung policies. Sinabi niya na atin ang West Philippine Sea, bababa natin ang presyo ng bigas, Pogo tatanggalin. So now,
Don't forget the drug war.
And the drug war. So madaling sabihin yan, and people are actually hindi madali. Mahirap sabihin din yan. And it's a very you have to give props to the president for taking a stance. That's the first step. But the second one, and the more challenging one, is how to operationalize this. And just to jump into one of the points, yung Pogo. Sabihin, isasara ang Pogo. The moment he did that, kinabukasan, ang daming tumawag sa akin. And a lot of some of these people have businesses that are associated with Pogos. They're not under Pogo per se, but
Yes.
ito yung tinatawag natin mga auxiliaries, whether they're supplying food, yung mga canteen, yung buildings, whatever it was.
Maybe just to add to that, Carlo, the chairman of PAGCOR, Altenco, also already requested that 12 not be closed out of the 41, 45, something. Meron ng 12
meron na, yeah.
Which employs something like 42,000 people.
Yeah, dami. So yan agad yung yung challenge eh. So the first step, and it's very critical, is to make a stance. The second one is how do we implement these things now? Kasi isipin natin, and I wish Manolo was here, because Manolo was in government and he was privy to the inner workings of yung executive na no issue is ever just black and white. Hindi lang ganun kadali, no? And we say Pogo, okay, madaling sabihin, ang daming social ills na dinadala ng Pogo. But on the other flip side, hindi yung the amount of people that it employs, wag natin sabihin doon sa mga pamilya na pinapakain ng yung mga legit na Pogo. Yeah. Wag natin sabihin na masama ang Pogo kasi ang dami nang napaaral niyan, ang dami nang napagamot niyan. So hindi ganun kadali yung
it's just, I mean, just an aside, it's just like the mining issue.
Yeah. But ayun yung question ko, Faisal. So ito yung challenge ngayon sa administration, kasi once they said sasara natin ng Pogo, and I caught one of the senators in interview, si Senator Gatchalian, sabi niya, we will find jobs for the ones that will be displaced. So once again, iyan ang kailangan natin tutukan, yung mga ganyang mga
just like what's the implementing plan, di ba?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So but
definitely, I just want to mention, kasi baka lang makaligtaan natin. He also talked a lot about education and healthcare. Nabanggit din niya yon,
very, diba? Very important.
Yeah, and very detailed yung mga ginagawa ng gobyerno, di ba? And I know because last two Sundays ago, I met with Secretary Angara for almost 2 hours, no? So because he's discussing what we can do to help. And very clear daw ang marching orders ni Presidente sa kanya. Very, very clear. And basically, kung ano yung sinabi niya sa SONA, yun din yung napag-usapan daw nila ni Secretary Angara. And ang concern ng Presidente sa education, the quality, but isa raw talagang ini-emphasize ng dalawa actually, yung teachers at yung siguraduhin magkatrabaho ng magandang trabaho ng mga graduates to bring our education system to that kind of level, no, so to speak. And then of course marami rin pinag-usapan sa healthcare. So
actually maraming healthcare, maraming education, and then yung isa pa na I don't know if this is surprising but interesting for me, energy. Because ang mahal-mahal din talaga ng kuryente and necessary infrastructure. And actually, a lot of grassroots organizations for decades have been lobbying for a review of IPIRA to see talaga kung yung massive privatization program na yun ay nag-contribute sa pagpapamahal ng kuryente sa Pilipinas. And Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said, let's review IPIRA. So actually, that is very interesting for me. And ako, sa tingin ko, if talagang matutukan yung energy, if he allows Secretary Lotilla, who is, I think, possibly one of the, if not the most competent cabinet ministers around, to really enact reforms, then marami rin pwedeng gawin sa energy. So there's a lot of things na pwedeng gawin, Fads, with the kind of team that he has. People like Secretary Lotilla, and now Secretary Angara.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of energy. And then
Secretary Gatchalian.
Yeah, Secretary Gatchalian. Mga taong nababanggit natin, di ba? I think there are real reformers in this administration na if he allows them to do their work and he empowers them, tayo pwedeng marating.
Yeah. And for me, at the risk of being accused of my experience of working with the departments, they're very open. They're very open, and they really get things done. The SWD, and by the way, now that you mentioned it, I've been working also with the Department of Energy, because in Caritas we have this part of the priorities now of Caritas is to mapabilis yung transition natin into clean and renewable energy. I work with I've been working with the Undersecretary Pentebella.
Oo nga pala. Kausap lang natin si Undersecretary Pentebella. These are people na nag-guest na natin, some of them nag-guest na natin dito sa proyekto. We know, hindi lang dahil nakausap namin, pero viewers, nakita nyo, pinakita namin sa inyo that these are people, visions. Narinig nyo naman si Secretary Wimpy, he gave us a history of the energy sector since 1920, di ba? So, talagang maalam itong mga to. And
at saka Leloy, alam mo so far everybody I've worked with in government, there are concrete programs. May konkretong programa. Now I think, and that's why we're working with them, humihingi sila ng tulong. Ito nga, and this is where I think yung value, Leloy, ng proyekto. It's a project that we should all get involved in, di ba? Di ba klarong-klaro, halimbawa sa energy, sa DSWD projects, no? Ang daming mga humingi ng tulong, and now education, no? So tama, ganda ng point mo, no? He has a team of reformers in his cabinet, and very competent people, di ba? So
and ako, Fads, the issue of working with government, I know a lot of people are rightfully still disgusted by what this government represents. Okay lang yun, hindi ko sila pupunayin for that. But I think there is a way to engage this government selectively kahit ayaw mo sa kanya. Work with people that you like, work with people that you trust. Kasi meron din naman mga tao dyan na kahit mismo sila, ayaw nila yung mga atrocities na nangyari noong 70s. Ayaw nila yung pagnanakaw na nangyari noong 70s. But they want to serve their people through government. And these are people you can work with. Ako nga, for example, I hindi naman sekreto na I really was disgusted by the Duterte administration. But I really really like the Department of Finance and yung mga reforms nila, people like Carl Chua. So even the administration that you are most disgusted by, I think they will still have people na pwede mong kausapin na magagaling. Oo. Like sa Duterte, DOF was, for me, like one of the great DOFs in modern Philippine history.
Yeah, and that's your cup of tea, Lelo.
And then,
and then,
well, recent fascination, more like recent fascination.
Recent fascination ba? Akala ko yan. Hindi, tsaka ano rin, alam mo, it's ano rin it's interesting how, number one, he lets people in his team do their work. Yung suportado niya, no? Pero alam mo, isang sana nabanggit is the corruption issue.
Yeah.
Parang yon, sana kung nabanggit yon, na may nasabi about that, then that would have been really, for me, that would have been a major statement, ano, for me.
Well, alam natin, Fads, that's not something he talks about, even on campaign. Lalo na nung campaign, di ba? That's one of the issues where, critics are right. He's always mum about that. I guess because he's afraid it will redound on his family. So,
yeah. And I think also, I mean, another elephant in the room, di ba? It's also a political tool, eh. Diba? Patronage politics, di ba? So that's another story. We can talk about that later on. So,
well, it's a good thing you mentioned that yung maraming mga gumagalaw sa gobyerno, whether or not sangayon ka sa presidente, yung head ng government. Kasi sa proyekto natin, madalas natin sabihin, napakalaking entity ng gobyerno eh. So the president is just one aspect, one facet of this big entity, and it's a very important one. Of course, it provides direction, but nakakalimutan, sabi nga natin, ang daming gumagalaw sa baryo, sa probinsya, sa munisipyo, and it reminds me of my own father nung naging aktivista rin siya during the 60s and in the 70s, and then eventually he joined the government service, while a lot of his former comrades were either went into namundok, or after nung Cory years nagtayo ng mga NGOs. Pero siya, he opted to join government kasi sabi niya ay nagkaroon siya ng self-reflection, and he found out that the best way he could implement change was from within the system, and he knew there was a big challenge waiting for him because of his activist ways, his thought, maraming obstacles. Pero sabi niya, kung namundok ako or kung nasa NGO ko, I would be outside any sort of influence to impact actual change. So he chose that route, and I know in my talks with him, ang dami niyang frustrations, ang dami niyang limitations sa kanya, pero ang dami rin ganun tao sa gobyerno, Leloy, Fads, na they're there to make the right choices, to implement the right policies, and all they're waiting for is the right go signal and the right support. And kaya natutuwa naman ako ngayon. I'm sure within my former colleagues sa DFA, ang daming natuwa doon sa stance ng ating Pangulo na sinabi na
puntahan natin yan.
Ang West Philippine Sea atin. Period.
Hindi katang isip.
Well,
actually,
ang gandang phrase nun.
Linawin lang natin to. Yung hindi katang isip yung idea na meron tayong territory dun sa area na yan. Pero yung West Philippine Sea as a term, katang isip yun ni Walden Bello. Siya yung nag-coin ng term na yun. So, I think we should just give credit where credit is due in that respect. Pero yes, do we want to turn now, Fads, dito sa issue ng West Philippine Sea and his statements on it? Sa akin, Fads, I don't know bakit hindi nag-standing ovation dito. Pero actually, before yung lines na yon, ang unang sinabi ni Presidente ay nagpasalamat siya doon sa Coast Guard. Nagpasalamat siya doon sa mga sundalong pinoprotektahan yung teritoryo natin.
Pinalakpakan siya pero hindi...
Pinalakpakan siya pero walang standing ovation. And I would think ito dapat yung standing ovation. Because these are the people we should really be standing for. Biruin mo, and now it's very clear, di ba? they're putting their lives at risk. Kasi pumapasok na yung mga Chinese hindi armado ng baril, pero armado ng kutsilyo at nasasaktan na sila, 'di ba? So it's very clear na buhay na ang nakasugal dito. And I don't understand their legislators, ang dami-dami lang tinayuan, hindi nila binigyan ng standing ovation yung ating Coast Guard. But credit is due to the President for opening with that because ito naman talaga mga bayaning Pilipino na dapat talagang pasalamatan sa SONA.
Yeah. So okay, yung West Philippine Sea, I don't know ano bang next steps diyan, ano? Kayo, just for us to kung ano yung dapat natin i-monitor coming from that statement of the President.
Ayan, Carlo, from the DFA perspective.
Oh, no, definitely not from the DFA.
From
your understanding, no?
From your understanding of the DFA perspective, yes.
Yeah.
Well, balikan natin yung panahon nung kay Pinoy, yung a lot of men and women worked hard to win yung arbitral ruling natin. And that was such an important momentous occasion. And I'm happy that this current administration hindi binabaliwala yan. Hindi sinasabi na ala yan, useless yan, walang hindi yan. So
yeah.
Because it showed yung respeto sa mga nagtatrabaho para sa pag-safeguard ng ating sovereignty, yung hindi lang tama yung sa Coast Guard, yung mga tao yung mga diplomats natin sa DFA, a lot of work have been put in this. So now ang tanong mo, Fads, ano ang next step? Well, the first step for me personally as a Filipino is to make sure there's no bloodshed. No Filipino blood gets spilled. That's the first step. So kailangan, nakikita ko si Pangulong Marcos, very measured yung kanyang mga pronouncements, no? Hindi siya, I wouldn't say, you can definitely not mistake it for warmongering. So very measured, and that's very, very level-headed, and I'm very welcome with that. But at the same time, very concrete na he's not backing off, atin to. So and I just saw on the news yesterday na tumuloy yung bilateral yung bilateral meetings with China regarding I forgot what the actual what the actual discussions are, but one of the points that China wants from us is to have their permission every time we're going to bring supplies in dun sa Sierra Madre, and I think someone from the government said no, we're not going to ask for permission, and that's very clear right away sa akin, Fads, no? So
yeah.
Next steps natin, reassert our rights.
Ituloy ang pag-supply ng Sierra Madre.
Ituloy natin. But it's so difficult to say what we should do and what we shouldn't do. But the fact that our president seems to be very measured, and he's listening to people who have studied this issue for a long time, that's a very good indication that we're heading in the right direction. Now, are we gonna look to our sa akin, Leloy, one of the things that I always feel with the West Philippine Sea, while the burden is on us as Filipinos, at the same time, we can't overlook yung importansya ng mga kaalyado natin.
That's what I was going to go to.
For a very complicated issue like this, we need to make use of our alliances and our friendships with other countries, because hindi lang ito issue between China and the Philippines, issue to ng buong mundo, kasi di ba napaka-importante nito, Fads, yung route na to so hindi lang sa atin, so we can find like-minded people to support us in if not in our claims, at least in the way we approach discussions.
And then to bring up then, Leloy and Carlo, yung looking at the US elections, no? Of course, when you have a Democrat in the White House, very solid yung support, ano? So we're not sure now if Trump wins, and heaven help us, no?
Talaga.
So
bilang permanent resident ng Estados Unidos, ipagdasal nyo po kami.
yes. Hindi, tsaka di ba yung impact din yan sa West Philippine Sea issue For me, I think that's something we need to mo. Siguro dagdag ko lang before we deepen that point that Carlo brought up. You know, one of the during the national the National Social Action Network Assembly ng General Assembly ng Caritas. This was around 2 weeks ago. That's one of the resolutions that came out of the assembly, that we should really help people understand the importance of the West Philippine Sea issue. So kasi hindi malinaw nga, 'di ba, na parang nabanggit mo Leloy kanina, 'di ba? Yeah, it was soundbite, standing ovation, but sa ordinaryong Pilipino hindi ganun kalinaw yung issue 'di ba? So I just want to bring that up, no, na I think mahalaga na talagang maunawaan ng natin yung issue, no? Lalo na yung mga mamamayan, 'di ba? So okay, sorry, let's go back.
Gusto kong mag-react. Gusto kong tugunan yung una sinabi ni Carlos, yung sinabi ni Pads. Yung sinabi ni Carlo, yung mga kaalyado natin, napakahalaga nun. At saka hindi natin pwedeng isipin na Estados Unidos lang ang kaalyado natin dito.
Yes.
Correct. Kasi meron ang mga Hapon, nandyan Vietnam.
ASEAN actually, yung nasa
I know that ang alam ko may mga miyembro ng ASEAN na medyo mahina on this issue. Sabihin, madaling pangalanan nito, Malaysia for example, si Anwar Ibrahim, napakahina sa issue na ito. Regrettably so. Pero meron tayong mga kaalyado within ASEAN na talagang all-in, kagaya ng Vietnam for example. And then of course, pwede pa natin ito palaparin Australia kasi the way we presented it, the way some people in the media or some activists have presented it is nakikialam tayo sa away ng China at ng Estados Unidos. At kumakampi tayo sa Estados Unidos. Between China and the United States, I'll be honest, mas gusto ko nang kumampi sa Estados Unidos. Pero that obscures yung broader picture na hindi lang dalawa ang actor dito. Marami tayong kaalyado dito at hindi lang binibenta ng Pilipinas yung kaluluwa niya sa Estados Unidos. Kung hindi, nakikipagtulungan sa mga iba't ibang alyado dito sa rehiyon natin. Pangalawa, Fads, yung sinabi nyo, yung election. Yeah, that just brings home the point na dapat talaga hindi lang Estados Unidos yung kaalyado natin dahil unreliable in many ways ang Estados Unidos, lalo na kung manalo si Donald Trump bilang presidente ng Pilipinas. And then yung third point, paano ba natin ito palalapitin? I think kailangan tandaan ng marami Pilipino na yung mga nagsasuffer sa West Philippine Sea ay mga pangkaraniwang tao, mga mangingisda natin. Di ba? Pangalawa, yung energy, napag-usapan natin yung energy, di ba? Kasi kung gusto talaga natin pababain yung presyo ng kuryente sa Pilipinas, kailangan natin matap lahat ng energy resources natin at marami sa mga energy resources natin ay actually nasa West Philippine Sea. At pangatlo, yung kalikasan. Ang daming environmental and ecological damage na nakukos ng China sa mga coral reefs natin. At dapat pangalagaan natin to dahil atin ito.
May add lang ako, nakalimutan ko sabihin kanina. Hindi ko alam kung ganito pa rin yung patakaran nung diplomasya, no? But when I was in the government, it was our understanding that China preferred a bilateral approach, meaning one-on-one approach as opposed to multilateral. As opposed sa atin, gusto natin lagi within a multilateral framework in the context of whether ASEAN or ASEAN plus 3, so on and so forth. Kasi Fads, ang ano niyan, ang isipin mo kasi we can view it as kung isa kang bully, isa kang mas malaking tao, gusto mong pagka may problema ka sa isa pang tao na mas maliit sa iyo, gusto mong one-on-one lang kayo mag-usap kasi nasa iyo yung advantage eh. Ganun yung that's how to best simplify it.
That's basic, no? Very basic
style yan, no?
So you can't fault China for doing that because self-interest nila yun. Alam nila if you get the Philippines to talk to you one-on-one, if you get Vietnam to talk to you one-on-one, if you get to talk to Taiwan, not Taiwan, sorry. Japan one-on-one, mas malaki yung chance mo na you'll achieve what you want because you can get your way. But with pag naalala ko doon sa playground rules. Pag may bully, na corner ako, patay ako. Pero pagka tatlo kami magkakaibigan, hinarap ako ng bully, mas iba na yung usapan kasi mas
may rest back, may rest back.
may rest back na. So it's an oversimplification of this diplomatic approach, but that is why the Philippines have before, prior to Duterte's administration, we have always advocated for a multilateral approach. And I'm glad that we're taking the right steps toward this kind of approach.
Okay.
Nabanggit mo, Carlos, si Duterte, no? May correction talaga na nangyayari. And it's for those of us who were critical of Duterte's foreign policy and also his drug policy. Nandyan yung correction, kitang-kita dito sa dalawang issue ng West Philippine Sea. And I think even dun sa issue ng drug war, do we want to try to move on dito sa drug war?
Yep.
If that's okay, kasi I want to say something about it, Pads. So sinabi ni BBM na mas makatao yung kanyang drug war. And then kung tingnan natin yung media, may mga reports na sinasabi na marami pa rin namatay under the presidency of Bongbong Marcos during the drug war, and it hasn't been as peaceful as what he's portrayed. If I'm not mistaken, yung isang report said there have been around 700 plus documented drug killings under BBM. How do you think about this? Kasi ako, the way I think about this is, obviously it's very tragic, pero hindi pa rin ito yung kasagsagan ng Duterte drug war. And in many ways, cut out of the bag yung violence ng police. It's not something we're going to solve overnight. Kasi nung panahon ni Duterte, talagang kinayaan silang pumatay na pumatay. So dahil doon, meron pa rin mga pumapatay. Dahil nabigyan sila ng carte blanche yung panahon ni Duterte. So hindi natin ito ma-resolve ba overnight. Pero I think it's a start. I think it's a start na definitely na hindi na nag-uutos yun. Napakababa kasi ng bar eh. The fact that we have a president who is not telling his police to murder people is already, unfortunately, an improvement.
Yeah. I think maganda yung ni-raise mo na point na yan, Lelo. But although, since we're at the issue of the drug war, Risa Hontiveros made that comment, bakit hindi nabanggit yung sa ICC, no? So, of course, she made that comment, no? So, can we say what we'd like to monitor in the coming months, no, for the next year from the President's SONA? So, baka pwede tayong mag-ano, no? So, we can, parang future episodes to, a few weeks, a few months from now, we'll see how things are going that area. So, who wants to go first?
This is related dun sa Pogos, Fads, no? Kasi ang gusto kong tutukan dun sa Pogo issue, yung trabaho. Kasi ito yung
how it's gonna be implemented, ano, diba?
And more than that, Fads, ilalayo ko yung question nung, kasi may nakita ko, I think couple of days ago, may nilabas yung Philippine Star na article na the Philippines is ranked second to the last when it comes to work-life balance. Yung may survey, no, na and sa akin I can relate kasi I work for a multilateral company right now. It's a European company, and then when work-life balance is a very serious topic in where work, and they walk the talk, no. So hindi lang yung pag-i-employ ng isang kumpanya, hindi lang siya bigyan ka ng pera tapos na. They want you to have a life of a dignified life, a dignified way of earning a living, and it saddens me to see. And I remember that because I've worked for I live in the Philippines. I've worked for Philippine companies. I worked in the government. It reminded me of how the situation is, how dire the situation is still, na we can paint a rosy picture in our SONA, but tanungin natin are people still clamoring to go abroad to find a better job? Do we still have jobs that pay enough to cover medical expenses, schooling, those things? Sa tingin ko hindi pa rin, Fads, no? And this is not gonna happen overnight, of course. this is something that involves a lot of different moving parts. And but one thing I am happy about is the parts that we often discuss, the parts that are important. Hindi lang urgent yung important. Number one, education. Yung diniscuss ng Pangulo na kailangan hindi natin maayos ang mga problema natin without proper education. And it seems to me yung pag-assign niya sa bagong secretary si Sonny Angara is a welcome development, because anytime a sitting senator resigns from his post as his political post as senator and takes on a challenge na hindi sigurado kung ano yung kalalabasan politically para sa tao, it's a good indication na seryoso yung tao na to do something about it. And yun lang, Fads.
Okay. Leloy, how about what would you like to look at? Monitor.
Ako Fads, siguro dahil talagang tumatak sa akin yung experience, yung napag-usapan natin sa mga eksperto dito sa Proyekto Pilipino, yung food tariffs. Sana talaga patuloy na i-maintain yung pag-cut ng tariffs para talagang bumaba na talaga yung presyo ng mga bilihin. Good start yung last month na binaba na yung certain food tariffs. Sana magpatuloy at sana we become closer to yung average ng Southeast Asia, because balikan na lang ng mga viewers natin yung mga previous episodes natin. Napakalaki ng diferensya ng taripa natin sa pagkain compared to our neighbors, and that's why our food is so much more expensive. So he's on the right track. Huwag na natin sabihin nakinig si Presidente ng Proyekto Pilipino. Sabihin lang natin, pinakinggan niya yung mga eksperto na lumalabas sa Proyekto Pilipino. So isang bagay yon. Pangalawa, Fads, ito wishlist na lang siguro. Pero it's very rare, and I haven't heard in the recent SONA, kahit kay Duterte or even kay Pinoy, somebody talk about yung inequality sa Pilipinas. Napaka-unequal pa rin ang ating lipunan. Kung titignan natin, in 2002, may World Bank report na sinabi na in a list of 63 countries, we were 15th most unequal. So napakataas natin. And we remain one of the most unequal societies in East Asia. So paano magkakaroon ng Proyekto Pilipino kung napakalaki ng agwat ng mayaman at mahirap? At iba yung mundo ng dahil sobrang laki nitong agwat na ito, iba yung mundo ng mayaman at ng mahirap. Mahirap magkaroon ng iisang diwa kung dahil sa inequality, iba yung mundo natin, iba yung mga kausap natin, iba yung mga napupuntahan natin. At nagkakaroon ng hidwaan at tension sa society dahil unequal yung society natin. So hopefully a president should address that, because I know inflation is important on a daily level, pero on a macro level, yung bang state ng bansa natin bilang isang bansa, ito siguro yung pinaka-important na economic indicator na titingnan natin.
Yeah, thank you. Ako naman, syempre, education, may bias. I'd like to monitor education. And because of yung stunting issue, I think is still something that I'd like to look at. And then, of course, kaakibat niyan, Leloy, is the food issue. So, and then, healthcare, I think. So, yun lang muna, di ba? Maano natin. Kasi I think, ito yung mga basic na sangkap din, Leloy, that will help put a firm grounding or foundation for addressing inequality, di ba? It's a good start, no? So okay, maraming salamat. I'm sure marami pa tayong dapat mapag-usapan siguro. Baka tingnan natin, let's talk about it off cam, na tingnan natin baka pwede tayong mapalalim sa next episode with Manolo around. Yeah. Kasi sayang it's good to talk about this while the is fresh, di ba? So baka next week usapan din natin. Let's talk about it off cam, 'di ba, with Manolo. Kung natin mapalalim, 'di ba? So maraming salamat, Leloy, Carlo, and ito po ang Proyekto Pilipino. Sana po ay patuloy tayong sama-sama para sa ating proyekto, no. Maraming salamat po.